Hi everybody, I wanted to give you a tour of Maui Lynn's cage. This is Maui. She is a Karela cockatoo and she is one of the most important things in my life. She is one of my loves. So I had a lot of people that asked me in the last year, how they should go about setting up their cage if they wanted to get a parrot or so forth. So I wanted to kind of go through what I have in Maui's cage. We actually call it her house, not her cage, but just so you can kind of see what we do. And you see she's up there on her playground now, and she is trying to tear some more things up. So we're just going to start right to left here. So the first thing you see here, this is a cuttle bone. This is something that Maui really enjoys destroying. I know that sounds a little strange. Hi, Maui. Hi, how you doing? I know that sounds a little strange, but you have to give them things to destroy. If you do not give them things that it is okay for them to destroy, rest assured they are going to find things to destroy that you don't necessarily want them to. So if you don't want them getting into things that you don't want them to get into, you better give them something to play with, something to mess up. That is very important. It also allows them to get some of that energy out, so they're not taking it out on you when you try to approach them and biting you and things like that. Beside that, obviously you see water, and you always have fresh water available. If you don't, that can become a very dangerous situation very quickly. So I usually change out her water twice a day. You need to, at minimum, change water out once a day, but I would even, if you can, then twice a day is best, because they will get it dirty very quickly. They will bathe in their water and it gets pretty dirty. It's going to get feather pieces, it's going to get some of some seed or whatever they're eating, it's going to get in there too. Beside that, you see one of her toys. Now, you don't want to clutter up the cage too much, because then they get frustrated and it's just stressful for the bird, as weird as that may seem. It is. And so I have right now one toy, a swing, and then her purse. I'll explain that in a little bit. But I do have plenty of other toys that I switch out with this. Two of them I actually have hanging at the bottom of her cage, and she will come out and she will play with these, but they don't need to all be in her house right now, because if they were, you see, it would take up this entire space. So you want to make sure that you're giving them enough room where they can completely expand their wings. And you see she can do that here at the top. She could also do that at the bottom. Of course, she, again, is a Karela cockatoo, and they are the smallest. So if I were to have a larger cockatoo or a different parrot that was bigger than her, I would need to get a bigger cage. But for her, this one is fine. So I have her swing in the back. This is something that I like to move around a lot. Sometimes I'll hang it on what I call her front door, and I will do the door like this, and I'll have it hang right here. And she likes to kind of hang out on that. She likes to talk to Daisy, and that's the yellow lab that you see right here. And Reba is in the kennel. I'm not sure why she's... Reba, what you doing in the kennel? Get out of there. But anyway, back to her house. So this is Maui's purse. Now this is where I like to hide treats and things, and I believe I have something in here right now. I do. So I have seed in here right now. Now one thing I will say about bird seed, I do not give that to her very often. That is a treat. She might only get seed once every 2 to 3 weeks. When I first got her, and remember that Maui was 22 years old when I first got her. So she had been on a diet 100% of seed, and my veterinarian informed me that that is actually very unhealthy for a bird. And I'd only had her for about a week, and when I told them that, they said no, her diet needs to be at least 85 to 90% fruits and vegetables. And of course that's immediately what I changed to. And like I said, I'd only had her a week at this time, and it was very difficult to get her to get used to eating fruits and vegetables, but she did get there. And now, of course, she loves it. But she still does love the bird seed and peanuts and things like that. So I do give those to her occasionally. Over here, we have her food bowl. You'll also see 2 heat sources in here. So this is actually a heated perch, and I would definitely recommend one of these. I'd also recommend one of these. This is also heated. And so if she needs body heat, she will actually cuddle against this pad right here. But if her feet are cold, I know it sounds weird, but their feet get cold, she'll come hang out right here. And she actually sleeps on this one back here. Hi, Maui. You are just getting all in the camera. You're such a good little camera bird. Such a good girl. But anyway, so, you know, our house isn't freezing cold by any means, and we live in the Mississippi Delta, so it's warm down here. But at night, it can get very cold. And one thing you have to make sure of is that your bird is not, their body temperature isn't going through drastic changes. You don't want their temperature dropping in the middle of the night significantly. That's a big problem. So we always have these heaters on and available to her, but they're not something that creates heat out here in the air. It's only if you touch them. And so I have them on the same side of the cage, and the reason for that is if she is not cold, if it is one of our hot summer days and she doesn't want that extra heat, she can go to this side of the house, and she has 3 perches here that are not heated, and that way she can get away from that. So that way she has some freedom. You always want to make sure they have some freedom even if they are in their cage. And as you see, she has a real hardwood floor. I'm sure she is one of the few, if not the only, bird in America with a real hardwood floor. You sure are a spoiled little bird. So up here, I'm going to give you a little tour of the top of her house. Something that's very important is using the real estate that you have on the top. So you don't want to just leave it just a regular top. If you can add some bling to it, as I call it, then do that. I have a playground up here for her, and she likes to tear the pieces off. That ladder that you see commonly finds its way to the kitchen floor, and the swing that you see that is no longer a swing. It used to have a wooden little perch that went in the middle, and now it's just a piece of hanging metal because Maui decided she didn't like the swing. She wanted to tear it up. It also has rope in the back. She actually doesn't use that very much. She kind of stays on the top, and kind of where you see the paint is coming off, that's where she is chewed and spent a lot of time. So hi, little girl. In the very back, I'm going to remove her playground just for a minute so that you can see what I've got going on in the back. So I have a hand-painted sign and I painted this for her, and I put it back there, and I didn't just do it just for decoration. This was actually something that was a practical project, and the reason that I had to make this is because this adorably sweet little bird that you see decided one day that she was going to tear a hole in my sheetrock. And I had never really thought of the possibility that my parrot could tear a hole in the wall. And she did. And I don't mean a little hole. She went after it. She went all the way through the sheetrock. So my advice to all parrot owners, especially if you are a new parrot parent, then make sure that if your parrot's house is up against a wall, make sure you have that wall covered. I also have one of these that hang on the outside of her cage. This is a bird protector, and I'll try to zoom in here. This just keeps mites and things away from them. When I first got Maui, she did have a bit of a mite problem, and of course we eradicated that very quickly with a trip to the vet. But that is something that I'm now very wary of. She didn't get these while she was with me, to be clear, but that is something that, again, can turn pretty bad pretty quickly if you don't get it taken care of. So we are vigilant about making sure that that does not occur again. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to someone, and I hope that you enjoyed our tour of Maui's house. Say goodbye.